Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm again talking about this guy, the XM5 TOXICANT. The video that I did first on this, the unboxing and just kind of my general talk through, did incredibly well. I think it was one of the first ones that came out, so a lot of people were like, wow, I kind of want to go and see that, which was great for the channel. So thank you guys so much for watching that. If you like, subscribe, absolutely amazing. Thank you. Today is going to be a more in-depth look at this, and I've got some great news, some kind of okay news, and I'm going to kind of talk through this and actually do some testing. So I actually did a live stream yesterday, and that was the day after the last video went live. If you haven't seen that video, go and watch it, because it's kind of me reacting to and giving you the backstory of how I got hold of this thing. But the live was amazing. I had, I think, at least like 30 to 50 people watching at any one time. I think there was like 300 people that tuned in total, and it went on for an hour. And we went through so many different people's questions. You know, like I weighed it, I looked at different parts of the mag, it kind of showed people different things about it, took the bolt out, did all of that stuff. And then at 58 minutes, I believe, or 59 minutes, suddenly the screen went black and the live stream ended, and apparently it said that I'd violated community guidelines. So YouTube, if you're watching this right now, I hope that I did not violate community guidelines. I was literally just talking through an Airsoft replica, but this is going to be hopefully something where I can give a lot more of that information, because that file gets deleted and you can't see that again. So unfortunately, I wanted to cut that down and put it out there, or to just kind of like upload the live, but that is no longer possible. So if you guys were there watching again, thank you so much, but that is something now which is gone. It's gone into the ether forever. I think YouTube now have ownership of it. So this is the XM5 that I got. It is made by TOXICANT, if you're not aware. This is probably one of the most expensive replicas you can buy at the moment out of the box. I got it, and I think I was one of the first to get it. I ordered it from 6mm, so SIXMM.com, based in Hong Kong, and they sent this to me, and it seems like I've got it before actually people from TOXICANT were getting, or people were ordering from TOXICANT got those directly. So that was great. However, when I got the actual package and I opened it, I kind of thought, wow, this is awesome. But I was looking at it, I'm like, this isn't right. And the reason it wasn't right is because this is the 9-inch model that they do. I think there's a 9-inch, a 13-inch, a 16-inch, and a 21-inch. The 21-inch looks pretty weird in my opinion, but this is the 9-inch, and they also do the 9-inch Mark 18 version. That one has a slightly different handrail, and it has a different flash hider on it, and that's the one I ordered, and it was the only one at the time 6mm.com were offering to sell. So when this arrived, and I thought, hold on, that's the 9-inch, this isn't the Mark 18 version, and I really, really want the Mark 18 version. It's the one that I saw in a Garand Thumb video where they kind of go through it, and it's a bit of a mental real steel gun, because it's this size, and it's firing their new caliber, the 6.8 by 51, so it's like a 303 round, like a DMR round in something this size. So it was kind of like, he was talking about the recoils and saying it looks so cool as this does, but I just like the style of it more. So I was like, okay, great. Well, I got my XM5, which is fantastic, but I didn't order this. So I emailed 6mm.com and I said, hey, you sent me the wrong thing. They actually ended up responding fairly quickly on WhatsApp, which is how you contact them apparently. And they said, hey, we're really sorry for this. I'll get one of my colleagues to contact you within the next 48 hours. It's probably been about 48 hours now, and I haven't heard anything. So in the last video and in the live, I wasn't going to do anything crazy with this, because the chances are I wanted to return it. I wanted to send it back and get the actual thing that I had ordered. However, so I didn't want to fire it. I didn't want to put any rounds through it, do anything like that. But what I did do on the live, which seems to have worked incredibly well, is I had an idea before I went live, and I thought, hold on a second, if I contact TOXICANT directly, they're a company who make this, but they won't ship to the US. However, through email previously, I said to them, hey, would you send me some magazines? It's not a unlicensed replica, because they do all of the 6-hour licensing on this. If you can see there, it's got the 6-hour logos, etc. They don't have the brand licensing. So they do it illegally, effectively under US law. And so when US customs catch these coming through, they send them back. So hence companies say, I'm not going to bother sending it. So TOXICANT don't normally send this, but I thought, hold on, if instead of trying to send this back to 6mm.com, even if they'll take it, I could turn around to Toxicant and say, would you allow me to buy the handrail of this and maybe the flash hider? Because that's the only things that are different on this actual replica. Or I asked them, is that the only things that are different? And would I be able to buy those from you? Because then I can just get them, I can change the handrail, change the flash hider, and I've got my Mark 18 version without having to go through all of this, like not being able to use it for a month, you know, sending it back for 2 weeks, then getting it sent back, you know, have I used it? Have I not used it, etc. And they actually responded very quickly. Last night, I think about 4 a.m. I got the email and they said, hey, we saw the video you made. And a lot of the people on the live stream, I said, hey, can you just DM Toxicant Airsoft on Instagram and say, please let this guy just buy the flash hider and the handrail. And they said, what we'll actually do is we'll give you the flash hider and the handrail for free for making such a great video on the replica. However, it's not going to be done until our next batch, which is done in May. So we're right now sitting here in January. So I'm going to be waiting 4.5 months basically to get that handrail. But I was like 100%. I would love to have it for free, for one. That'd be amazing. But also, if I get that, I can then change this into my Mark 18 and I can actually build it out now and use it and show you guys what this thing is like before that. So I don't have to kind of like look at it sitting around, you know, and get all kind of sad. I can actually build this out and then I can use it. I can answer you guys' questions on it. And I can also then have the actual replica that I wanted. If I want to change it back to this rail, then that's fantastic. So Toxicant came to the rescue. And because of that, sorry, this very long-winded story. Because of that, I can now show you guys what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to kind of go through in this video. It's going to be a longer video. What I'm doing, I'll not change the internals, which I'm going to do later, but I will, because that kind of will take too long and you might not want to watch me doing that. I'll try and make a separate video of that, but I will show you what I'm putting on here, what my plan is, go through some of the information that we found in the live that people were asking the questions for, and then hopefully that will be of value to you guys and you can enjoy this video, and you can always ask questions below. I try and put up a video every single day, Monday to Friday, and I think this is something where it seems like a lot of people want to see it. I think it was 8,000 views of the video in like 24 hours, so people want to see this. So I'm more than happy to show it off as much as possible. So this is the replica in the live, and actually in the last video I gave you kind of like a close-up on it. It is the XM5, so it is a replica that is built off what now is the US Forces standard like assault rifle. They obviously have gone from an M4 variant and now they're going to this because they've signed a contract with SIG. And the actual one that they're going to use is called the XM7. They changed the name of it before they actually put it into production for the army, and that was for like licensing deals. I think like Colt had M5 as a name, XM5 was too close. They changed it to XM7. The only other thing that they did other than change the name, I believe, is remove this forward assist, the forward assist here. That's not functional, I don't believe, in this replica, but it's just something that was removed. I think they said it didn't actually save weight, but it was something that they ended up doing. So this effectively is an XM5, even though it is an XM7 in probably what you're going to see. It's almost like the prototype to now the current special forces, US forces weapon that they're going to be using. This is the 9-inch version. So as I said, Tox can do a 9, a 13, and I think a 16 and a 21-inch barrel. The 9, I don't know if anyone's using that. I think the standard one that they're going to be issuing is the 13. But Toxicant, as a company, are the first ones that have made a replica of this, and it is incredibly expensive. It's $1,600, which is a massive amount of money. Now, as I got it out of the box and as I'm playing with it, it's really well built. Like, the quality of this is really good. The finishes are great. It's got all of the trading, the brand, the trademarks, the branding. I really love this. Kind of having that SIG Spear, obviously, SIG MCX Spear multi-caliber on there. This actually having the QR code on it, like the Real Steel one, is pretty awesome. I've heard APFG might be making a version of this, as probably other companies will do going forward. However, I know they don't do licensing. I've got my, and this is what we're going to do in this video, is do some comparisons. So if you can stick with me, that'd be great, but completely up to you. They don't normally put any branding on their replicas because they don't have the license, because it's effectively VFC. but I bought this from Octagon Airsoft. If you're looking at getting one of these, they're incredible. So I would definitely 100% recommend one. And this is 500, not 1600. But they will etch on the trades for you. And so that's for an extra $15, which is 100% worth it. But they're not going to be able to do that QR code, or I don't know how they would, because it's not really laser etched. It's like kind of white printed, I think, or I don't really know how that's on there. It's not kind of recessed into the actual, like that kind of laser marking there is recessed in. This isn't, I don't believe. So I don't know how they would do that. They may make a similar version, but I don't think without branding or without the licensing deal and without actually doing the trademarks, it's going to be very easy to get it like this. So obviously they've done it. TOXICANT have got a great reputation of doing MWS clones. So a lot of their MCXs that they made, the original MCX, they do the spear line as well, just like that. But they use the MWS mags. So that's a Guns Modify one, but they'll use standard MWS mags. However, this thing does not use that. This thing uses these, and this is actually a very cool mag, I have to say. I think that is probably one of the things that gives this thing the most unique look that it has, because it obviously has that kind of SIG styling to it, and it kind of has, you know, the standard AR kind of style controls, you know, your fire selector, but it's not something that you see with this, because I suppose you would see it like a DMR, maybe a M110A1. So it's almost like a DMR slash CQB rifle right now, which I think is very, very cool. And it's very chunky. Like this, in terms of a hand grip, is a lot thicker and more grippy, even than the Spear LT here. I'll show you guys. Maybe I'll try and fold this up so then you guys can see what this is like as well at the same time. This is still quite stiff, I think, so I need to be careful, but because I'm keeping this now, I don't have to be as careful as I was. So to give you guys a little side-by-side on this, catch it, that is how the profiles look there. So you can see that this is just a kind of more thick, go that way, it might help. That's where they are there. So again, this thing has got a little bit more girth to it. It's quite hard to get that across on the camera. And then side on, similarly, it's just a bigger handrail. The body feels bigger. It's obviously a larger magwell, but it just feels more chunky. Someone actually in the chat yesterday said it's kind of similar to how you see an HK416 compared to like a regular M4, where it's kind of like a very similar looking body, but it's a bit different. And this, I think, is exactly that. The main difference that I always notice is this, which is probably one of the coolest features. Obviously, the mag's very cool. I'll talk through the mag in a second, but this is one of the charging handles. So you can charge the weapon like this. You have the forward, the bolt release here, ambidextrous. And then you also have the ability to charge it with a regular charging handle there. Bolt has got your 6.8 by 51 on there. So that's that different caliber, which is hence why the mag looks so different. And the mag I really, really like. It's not going to be, you know, you have to buy these, and I think these are $75 a pop. But the $1,600 when you buy this thing, if you can get hold of one, does include 4 of these. And normally it includes 2 of these, which are the green gas, and then it also includes 2 CO2 mags. So this thing is supposed to run on CO2 as well as green gas, which I think is incredibly cool. I don't really use CO2 very much, not even in my gas blowback pistols. I don't use CO2 in any rifle really that I've used, but I do love in Southern California. It's almost always sunny here, so it's a lot easier for me to do that. If you live in a colder climate and you want to run CO2 because that's going to be more efficient in the cold, I think that's amazing that you can do that. And the mags, I'll show you, look almost identical. So that is the regular green gas, that is the CO2. I've removed the base plate from this one. I'll do it on the other one as well, but basically to show you what the CO2 looks like, that is where the canister is going to go in there, and then you're going to kind of twist that with a big Allen key just to kind of pierce the chamber. It kind of clicks into place just with this little tab. And then that you just push that down to get it. It is a bit awkward to do. And then this is similar. Just do a little, get one of my tools out and open this up. This is the annoying thing, I think, is you're gonna have to push this down and then release it effectively. And then you've got there just a fill valve for your green gas, so you can just put that straight in there. So what I am going to do in a little bit is I'm going to fire both of them. I'm going to put it dry fire both of them. I'm going to put in green gas into one of them, obviously, and I'm going to put CO2 into the other. And that means that we can then, I've forgotten which one's which, and that means that we can then see kind of what the recoil is like on either. I would expect that the CO2 is going to give us more recoil. So that's the green gas one. But I'm probably going to use green gas. And even though it comes with 4 magazines, 2 CO2, 2 green gas, I ordered an extra 3 green gas magazines. So I'm going to be running it that way. So moving on, let's just quickly actually weigh this, because one of the questions I had straight away from someone before we did the live was, hey, can you weigh it for me? And so I'm going to do that now because we've lost that data on the actual... We've lost that data on the live stream. So this is dry weight. It's got the stock attached, no magazine, no attachments on it. Let me put it this way, and we can get a better. And that is looking at 6 pounds 1.9, so 6 pound 2 ounces effectively. The green gas mag, which I think again is this one. I'll put that there. That's basically £1, so we got £1 for that, so you're looking at 7.2 pounds for the two of them. And then the CO2 mag, these are heavier that we found out on there. That's 1.3 £1 3.5 ounces, so it's about 30% more heavy, the CO2, and that's without any CO2 canister in it. Obviously, green gas, when you've got the gas in it being liquid, it is going to make that heavier. So maybe if I remember in this video, I'll try and put that on as well. But it's not heavy, but it's not light. Like it's a very kind of good feeling replica in terms of like it feels well balanced, I would say. I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan of this stock, so I may well change this out. And what I might do in this video a bit later is just look at what the Spear LT standard folding SIG stock looks like on it, because I love that stock. It fits my shoulder really well, but also I think this gun may get a bit front heavy when I do that. Reason being is I'm going to be putting a lot of attachments on here, some of which I have here and some of which I'll just talk through. But that is something I may change. A lot of Toxicants, when they've come out in the past, do not come with a stock. So this one has come with a stock, which is fantastic. And it's actually come fully built, kind of ready to go. However, it does not have an inner tube. And so that is the reason today why I am not going to be firing BBs in it and doing an FPS rating, because it doesn't come with an inner tube, which I think is quite strange. I have to say, I don't really understand why that's the case. But apparently that is what Toxicant do, and so I do have inner tubes that I'm going to put in. I've got one here. This is, I couldn't actually find a Prometheus barrel for the right length, which was a gas blowback, so I'm going to try the Crazy Jet Maple Leaf to start with and just see how that does, as well as a I'm going to do a hop up, which is going to be a flamingo. They do a flamingo black now. I've got a couple of these here, so I'm going to try that in there, but it is going to require me removing this handrail. It's going to remind like in a outer barrel to put it in there, so I'm going to do that in another video, show you guys how I do that, and then do some testing as well. But that is kind of annoying, but you know, it means that I have to do some work on it before I can do anything other than dry fire it to show you guys. Now the things that I'm going to change on this, and I'll kind of talk through some other stuff as I'm doing it. Only little things that I've noticed QC wise is you can see there's like a little hang down thing there, and I think that is just a piece of tape from where it's been painted. So I'm going to try and pull that out. In fact, I'll try and do that now because I don't think it's a metal shear. So it is a tiny piece of metal that is there. And I don't think it's a big deal because it's literally just like right there and it's now gone. But it is something that, let me just make sure that's all clear. It is something that obviously when you're spending $1,600 on a replica, You may want that not to be there. Yeah, I mean, it's cleared out and there's nothing there. So it just seems like that was a little bit of metal edge that was still there, which is strange, but it doesn't make a big deal at all. That's the only thing there. And then the only other thing is there is some movement between the upper and the lower here. Like if I push it down, you can kind of see that movement there. The rest of it is solid. And actually when I have it shouldered, it doesn't have really any give in it, or doesn't feel like it does. And I think that might be to do with how it's like a monolithic rail, like upper effectively here. So it feels solid, but that is something just to bear in mind. And I have actually heard from someone else who has one that was not the same thing. Like they did not have the movement in there. So I've got it is going to happen. It's kind of like with a real steel firearm, like you're going to get movement eventually between the upper and the lower. So it's not really a big deal. And it's something you're going to have to deal with down the line, even if it's not straight away. But I've got something I'm going to put in here to kind of check that out. This is, let's just measure this. Someone had me remove the Spear LT. So I think that this was about it was slightly lighter, maybe half a pound lighter. I've got the LPVO on here. So that is making it heavier. In fact, I'll do it for you guys just because I know that you'll want to see the comparison. So we had 6.2 ounces with the other one. And this one is, let's see, that's too big. This one is I think it was slightly lighter from just what I remember. This one's an APFG. I absolutely love this thing. The trigger on this is a lot better than the TOXICANT one. TOXICANT one is mushy, and I'll show you that in a second. It's not awful. It's not the worst trigger I found, but it does feel very similar to that MWS stock trigger, where it's like a little bit mushy. It has the break, but there's no kind of big snap in it. And this thing is the complete opposite, where my MPX, which is also from APFG, that is my favorite trigger that I've ever used. It's just it's on the wall straight away, very definitive snap when it goes. So this is only with a little hand guard on there, very light. That's at 5.7, yeah. So it's about half a pound lighter. For this, it is a kind of more streamlined thing. It's got a much more compact stock on it. But you're looking at that is going to be the weight difference, I would say, between the two. Just if you guys are interested in that. And as I said, I think I'm hearing that APFG, which is a subsidiary of VFC, apparently they had the SIG licensing, had a bit of a falling out, and so therefore lost the SIG licensing on their replicas, and so started a side company that was kind of continuing to do the same replica that they'd already kind of spent money on, I presume, and built out, and then removed the branding from that. So basically you can get things that look identical, but they're not called a SIG Spear LT, and they are not branded. However, you can get them branded. Like this stock here, for me, there's like no real give in it, and I absolutely love it. Like this here, and I think it's going to depend on how long your arms are, how big you are, but this is a great stock. So I am probably just going to try putting it on this thing as we go and just see if you guys think that's good. So I'll move on to what I am going to do with this, because I think it looks very cool like this, and I think you guys hopefully will agree if you're watching this video and it's going on for quite a while. I think it looks very, very cool, but I do think that it's going to look a lot cooler when it's built out. And as I said, this isn't the one I was planning on building out, but it is so similar that it really doesn't change anything. And what I chose to go for first was this. It is a SIG sight. So, you know, I was like, should I go with another one of my favorites? Here's a Mark 18 that I have. This is my original gas blowback. And I love the EOTech. Like, I absolutely love it. And so I have this on quite a few of my replicas. And I kind of thought, you know what? It's going to be great on here, but this is a different looking rifle. And therefore, I want to do something that's a bit different. So I got this, which is called the Romeo 8T. It's a very similar price, about $600-700. Real steel sight. What I really loved about this, which I didn't realize until I got it, is that it has this on it, which is the kill flash, and that comes in the box. So I didn't have to order it separately. It comes attached with two flip-up covers. There's normally one there and one there. And you can literally just take the kill flash and put it on. So for airsoft, it's kind of perfect because you're almost getting the lens protection included in the box. You know, you may have to order 1 or 2 more of these if they get shot at and kind of like squished, which kind of does happen with these. But having that protection there for the same thing, I think was really, really cool, which I didn't realize was happening until I got it. Other thing I was going to run on it is this, which is a Unity riser. And so I like my optics raised up. I like being able to look. This is a long video, guys. So if you're watching thinking, how long is this going to take? And this guy's, you know, just going on and on and on. I apologize, but this is probably one of those videos where you just get a coffee and you relax, watch it, look at me talking for a long time. And hopefully if you're here and you're in the live, you can ask questions down below, or if you are watching afterwards, you can just stick a comment below and say hi, but also say what is this. Obviously if you want to leave a comment, that's great, but a like and a subscribe would also be fantastic. So this is what I think we're going to make it look like. Now, I don't know this sight. Like with EOTech, I always, so I'm just going to put this on gently right now. With EOTech, I always have a riser, as you saw on that. I've got the Hydra on there. This does look a little bit strange with that riser. And what I have got coming, I think this is going to be too high, weirdly. Yeah, I think for my eye, weirdly, I love it very high, but that is going to be too high for me. So I might actually just use it without that Unity riser on it. This is a PTS Unity riser, so it's not a real steel one. You can get these for about $25. They're pretty great, to be honest. If you're not using it as a real steel firearm, because it's an airsoft replica, then you don't really need that same quality for the recoil. This does have recoil, and we'll see how much. But it's not like you're going to need that in the same way as you would need it on another thing. Do you guys think I should paint this? That's going to be a good question. Like, I don't really paint my replicas. I should, and I always think, oh, that's something I'm going to do. But I never really end up doing it because I kind of just like, oh, I don't want to... If I wanted to sell it, which I never do either, you know, maybe someone wants to do it themselves. Okay, so that is probably around where I'm going to put this. So this is great as well. This replica, it's very solid. It's heavy, so it weighs about a pound. I weighed that yesterday as well. And it has all these different reticles. So let me see if I can show you guys quickly here. This is very hard to do without showing you right there. So it's got that typical EOTech 2 MOA dot with a 65 MOA circle. You can also just do a single 2 MOA dot, or you can do one of the dots with the different, like 3 different dots below it, just for range. You can do that in airsoft, but you're not really shooting this at that much range. Now, what I do have also coming, which is I think going to work a lot better, but hasn't arrived yet, is a riser that is called like the Arasaka. No, it's from Arasaka, I think, but it's actually made by Rail Scales. So I think it's called their something mount. And it's built for the Romeo 8T, and it has a little, it's kind of like fits this weird shape where it has this little tail that kicks up. And then it has like a little extra pad here where you can put on a magnifier. Now I've got the Romeo 3T, which is a 3 times magnifier, just to basically rotate onto here. And so that is going to come, and I am going to put it on, but I'm not sure if that's going to be something I run regularly, but it should be pretty easy where I can take it on, put it off, depending on what I want. I don't think you really, for airsoft, need a magnifier that much. I have to say, though, actually, I use an LPVO on this, and I never thought an LPVO was worth doing on airsoft, and this thing is amazing because on the single, you know, the lowest on this throw lever, on the lowest like 1x zoom, it's incredibly clear. It basically works like a red dot, and then if I want to zoom in and just get a slightly better picture, it's fantastic. I mean, this is an 11-inch, so I run this a little bit more as a kind of like, not DMR, but a longer range rifle. But I don't really think it's necessary with this, but having that option is kind of cool. Plus, half the reason I'm doing this is because of the look of it. It's not necessarily the performance. I just think these things look awesome, and so I'm kind of just very excited to put that on. Right, so what else are we going to do? We are going to do, so as I said, the things I'm going to do after this is the inner barrel and the hop-up bucking. I may do like a hop-up arm. I don't know really what the hop-up's like in here, and whether there's a tensioner that I could change. I'll probably play around with that in the next video. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, and then you can watch that. You're not going to miss out on it, which should be great. But what I'm going to do is the sight is here. This I don't like. Now, these are the Sig Sauer standard grips. I think they're good because they're quite vertical, more like that HK416 out of the box as opposed to the awful M41. But the width of it, the girth of it, I just don't really like. And so I'm going to put onto it one of two different grips, which I think I know what I'm going to do now. I may end up doing a video where I switch this. This is the Magpul K2 Plus. I absolutely love this grip. It's kind of rubbery feeling. It's kind of got that feel to it. It's very vertical and it's big. So like if you've got bigger hands, I think this is probably the best grip you could go for. So I think that's what I'm going to do. There's another one that I've been playing around with, which is very odd looking. And I kind of want to keep this a little bit more of your classic style. But it is this, which is the Samurai, or the Kung Fu grip, sorry, from Die Free Company. These are about $20. I've got one of these on my MPX, which I'm kind of trying out. But it is very, very vertical. And so I may end up just testing this, and I may do that in another video as well. But for right now, I'm going to switch this out. So we'll do that now. And hopefully, let's probably take the magazine out. It's pretty great. I love that I can actually now play around with this and I don't have to just do the whole, oh no, I can look at it, but I can't fully touch it. 6mm still haven't replied to me. So I'm kind of hoping that they come back and say something. Although now it's become more of a situation where I don't want to return it because Toxicant have turned around and they've said they're going to send it to me, which I'm very, very excited for. So the trigger I didn't actually show you, but I will show you in a second. If I'm live, it's great because you guys can turn around and say, "Hey, you said you'd show us the trigger and you haven't done it yet." But I will show you the trigger, but I don't like it that much. And what I do have is the Toxicant, the company, make trigger boxes that are tuned for MWSs and for MCXs, and they are very, very good. Like it's tuned where it is literally on the brake and it just fires. The travel is tiny and that's exactly how I like my triggers. So I'm probably going to get that. It's $250 and then I have to install it. And when you're spending $1,600 on this thing, I did actually expect that that would come stock. And so I'm kind of a little bit annoyed by that. So what you have to be careful of, did I just drop something? No. What you have to be careful of when you're doing this is this little spring. Now that spring, I didn't realize originally when I did changes of hand grips, but that spring puts tension on this actual pin here. There's sometimes two of them, but basically this pin, which is the to remove the upper and the lower, the rear pin, it's obviously kind of held into place so you can't pull it fully out. And there's like a kind of tension there, which is pushing it into that place. What you need to do is not lose that. And what I realized on these is there is a hole normally on these real steel grips and the spring will just sit down into that. And you obviously don't want that to happen. So what I've done on this is I've actually just got a small grub screw and I've just screwed it in. So if I can get this to go there, I've just screwed it into that gap. So it should keep in place where this is. But it actually, normally there's a second spring that will actually put tension on the fire selector. Doesn't look like you've got that on here. So there's one spring, not two. So I don't think you're going to have to necessarily do that mod on this. You may just be fine. I just want to make sure I get the spring in right, because it does look like it's kind of compressing a little bit in the wrong zone. Okay, so that's there. Probably should have opened up the bottom of this first. Taken that out. I have the bolt from in here. I'll normally always use the real bolt, which I learnt in one of my previous videos. Let's use this and get that in there. Because if you kind of use the real steel bolt that a lot of these come with, then you can be in a position where you're stripping the screws if it's not the same bolt that's going in. And so I would always say just use the bolt that is coming with the replica, as long as it fits in the actual... Oh, we might have an issue here. As long as it fits in the actual hole and doesn't like squeeze straight through it, then you should be fine. You know what I'm finding though, is that it's almost like this bolt's not long enough. I don't know. Let's have a look here. Oh, you know what I dropped, which I now am realizing, was the actual screw that sits inside this little area here. And so it's going to be on the floor. See where that screw goes there? I'm going to put this over here for 1 second so I don't lose that. So I don't lose the actual spring that's in there. But I heard that thing drop. Aha! And luckily it is right here. But make sure you do not lose that as well, because that is something that you really do need. So that needs to sit right in that space there. And then I can again take two, put this bad boy back on, trying not to screw up that spring again. And now there's actually something for the screw to bite into, which is a good sign. So now I can fasten that, tighten it up, make sure I tighten it. So what I will do when I'm sure that this is what I'm going to put on here is I'll put blue Loctite on that actual screw, and then it's going to hold in place. When you are putting quite a lot of pressure, obviously you're sometimes holding this thing just by itself, you know, by the pistol grip, not holding it in other places. So you do want to make sure that that thing is really secured. I don't want to strip this, so I'm going to leave that there. That feels pretty great. So this is what that now looks like. I don't know if you think that looks better or worse, but I just like how this feels in my hand. And that already, for me, it's just a lot thinner. Like the actual one that it comes with, it's just got that kind of bulbous feeling to it. It's like a potato, people say. And so I don't want that. And so I'm going to go with this. And I'm not going to switch it out to the other one yet. If you guys want to see what the dye-free one looks like on there, let me know. But I like the look of that more already. And I love these grips. So if you're thinking about what kind of grip should I get, if you've got bigger hands, I highly, highly recommend the Magpul K2 Plus. It's about $30, I think. It's real steel. It fits on here. So that's a great thing to know, that actually a real steel grip fits on this actual replica. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is the stock. So now what I normally do, this has got some wiggle in it, and this is normal again. Like you'll get some give just where this stock is going to just move on the actual stock tube. The cool thing with it is basically this is just a skeletonized stock tube, which you could put any AR style stock on. So you could take a stock from an AR-15 or a M4, whatever you want, you could put one of those stocks on. So I may look at doing that, but I don't think I kind of want to copy, you know, because I put Magpul again. I love Magpul. I put Magpul stuff on a lot of the things that I do. So I may end up kind of looking at that, but what I will probably end up doing is putting Velcro. If you put the kind of loop side of the Velcro, you get the sticky back one, and you just stick a strip of it right the way along the top here, and let it set. Means when you actually put this onto here, it just kind of allows that tension to hold, and you can kind of slide it on. It's a lot kind of more, it's more difficult to slide it, but you know, you're not going to be adjusting the stock and need it fast adjusting that much. If you're going to adjust it, you can still do it, but I'll keep my stock generally in the position that I like to use it in, and it gets rid of all of that wobble, which I think makes a big, big difference. So that's probably what I'll end up doing. But what I'm going to do quickly is look at what it's going to look like. So this is what it looks like right now. I'm going to have a look at what this thing looks like with let me just do, I might want a slightly bigger one than that. I'm going to look at what it looks like with the Spear LT stock on it. I need to, yeah, it was this one. And we'll see if that looks better or if it looks weird. I do think it could feel quite front heavy. Like my Spear LT, I kind of thought that, but I don't really use much on the front of the Spear LT. And I'm getting some like paint scratches already, which I would have been freaking out about. But because I am keeping this thing. I'm not really that worried about it anymore, which just feel quite freeing, to be honest. I don't want to strip this again, so I don't want to just give it a little turn here. Now you can get the real steel ones of these, the stocks, but I think it's about, they're about like $300, the real steel stock. So I've thought about getting them before, because I like real steel on nearly everything I do in Airsoft, which again is unnecessary and very expensive. Let me just see if I can get that off. But to do that for $300, when you can get replica ones like this APFG one, if you buy it separately, I believe is about $80. So that's a lot less money to do that. And it's probably going to be no different in terms of what you're... So it sits flush, which I already like. The other one doesn't do that. So the fact that it sits like that, is already kind of a big selling point for me. I'm going to put this guy in here. And we're going to tighten this up. And I'm not going to tighten it too much just because I might switch it back. But it'll be good just to get a good idea of it. This is your kind of standard SIG folding stock. So that's what it's going to look like with the stock folded, which I think looks fantastic. And then I do think I prefer it, you know. It feels really good like that. I know these are a bit hit or miss. Some people like them, some people don't. This is actually a real steel SIG cheek riser. I think those are about $20, but they fit onto the APFG version. You have not got as many QD points. So with this thing, you've got QD at the bottom, but it's got the wiggle to it. This thing already just feels a lot more solid. So I'm going to leave it like that for now, and I might get a different one of these or another one of these for that SIG Spear LT. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm going to go with that for now. I'm not going to bother. In fact, I'll just quickly put this on here so that it's not naked with no stock on it. This is a sliding one here, which is fine, but the other one kind of locks into place on that Picatinny rail. That is another great thing about these SIG MCX bases, is you can kind of just pick and choose and put very different things on it when it hasn't got that buffer tube in the back, or it doesn't need to have the buffer tube. Like, again, that looks pretty cool. I actually kind of like, no, I prefer the other stock, but I could change that, put it whatever I want on it. So what I'll probably end up doing is putting that on, and then we'll see. Guys, to give you an idea as well of magazines, like that is the magazine and it's big, so it's not going to fit in your regular AR pouch. This is a regular AR magazine. This is a Guns Modify one for the MWS. This is the bigger one, and proportion wise, if you're thinking, hey, I don't know what it's like, I think it's very similar to a Sega 12 mag. Like, it's slightly different shape, but the actual thickness of it, etc., is pretty much that. And this is like an M110A1 style. And so we looked at yesterday on the live, so I'm going to do this again quickly. This is just a good example of an AR mag pouch. These are from Unobtainium Gear. I absolutely love this company. But that is where your regular AR magazine's going to go in. This thing is not going to go in there. Like, it's just too big. However, this is one that I use for my Sega mags, which is again from Unobtainium Gear. But it is a M110A1 mag pouch, and this fits perfectly in there. So it's something that, you may think, hey, what am I going to use? You are going to have to buy new mag pouches if you're just running, regular AR mag pouches. These do fit in the Haley Strategic mag pouches though. I did an example of that yesterday, and annoyingly I don't have my Haley Strategic pouches with me. But if you're looking at doing that, you can fit them in there. You can also fit your Sega mags in there. You can fit everything. So that also, if you're running those, you're all good. But that's just something to note on these. Another thing someone mentioned is on the actual mag itself, I actually really like this fake bullet kind of thing. I've seen these and I don't like it on a lot of the other replicas that I see. Like I think Lancer make a gas mag which has these and it just looks super fake. This actually, just the style of like how this is kind of smoky here, it's just done really well, where at that front angle, looking through here, I think you can actually kind of see, it looks as if there's a bullet in there. And so I actually think this has been done really, really well. I think it looks very tacky on other mags, but I actually really, really like it. And it's kind of hard to get it across on camera there, but I think it's great. Other thing we realized on the live stream yesterday is that's a spring right there. And so I think when this is loaded with BBs, and we'll have a look at it afterwards, I need to work out how I'm going to load this, but when we look at it afterwards, I think basically we could pull the mag out and do a quick round count. We don't need to be like, oh, I don't know how many rounds in there. Should I do a tactical reload? You can probably check it. And so that's a good point. If I'm going to load it, then that's going to be very difficult. So maybe I'll load it. And I think they said that it basically takes MWS parts to it. I don't know if that's similar. Like this is the Guns Modify mag. Where is it here? So it's similar, but not exactly the same. But I would say that the feed lips look very similar. And my face keeps taking the thing. The feed looks very similar. The feed gas valve looks very similar as well. So hopefully I could just use an MWS speed loader adapter and then speed load this. This is a 28 round mag and it looks big. So I'm hoping that the gas capacity on it's pretty high. Today I'm really going to test the recoil more, but it is probably just good to do. I'll do a test in another video of how many rounds we're getting through each of the mags, the CO2 and the green gas as well. So subscribe, like, do all that stuff for that. Okay, so we've done that. What else am I going to do? So I've done the sight, I've done the grip, I've done Velcro. I'm going to put the LT stock on it. The other thing that I am putting on here is a flashlight. And so I've actually ordered a PEC box for this, a Somo Gear PEC box. So normally I will almost, on most of my replicas, run it on a Hydra mount. I really like how on this, like it's kind of kept up and out of the way. And I've got a Surefire on this. And so I'm getting the exact same switch on here that I've got on this Mark 18. And this is the Axon switch, which means it's got two functions here. It's got a, I'm trying to like show you guys how this is working. It's got there, which is doing the laser and my flashlight, my Surefire. And then I've got the other button here, which is just doing laser. That's doing laser flashlight. So I can click that in, I can have them both on, but it means that I have two lines running. I'm probably going to run the PEC box on this one at the front and not have it raised up. And I'm going to still have a flashlight on the side and have the same setup with the same switch. So that's all coming and it's on the way. But it does again mean that I think this is going to be more front heavy. And what I am going to do is put this, which is a larger flashlight on. This is actually a Streamlight ProTac 2.0 RM. So it's a rail mounted version. And when I quickly had a look at this is going to be quite interesting on this rail, is it's got a ton of M-lock on it. Like you've got two slots up here. You've got the line of slots up here. This is all just kind of serration. But you have a full set that go underneath as well. And it's kind of the same on the other side. Now, my plan normally is to run the flashlight up here. So I like it kind of like up next to the rail. What I've realized is the angle on this mount, which I don't think is necessary. You could get a different style, like straight mount, but that is not going to fit around that corner. Like that is not actually going to go on that edge. So what I'm going to have to do is actually mount it further to the bottom so that it actually can fit to go around that space there. It's probably not a good angle to show you. I'll try to show you here. So I'm going to need to kind of mount it lower round because up there it's not actually going to fit. So I'm going to do that quickly now so you guys can see what that looks like. But again, I think this may affect that stock. What is great is that this mount can go, sorry, the M-lock rails are very far forward and it's got a perfect little slot here for that. I'm trying to do this where you guys can see it, but also that's probably not the best for me doing an accurate install on this thing. Okay, so I'm going to take that, I'm going to grab this, is the right size, luckily. I'm going to half turn. So if you guys aren't used to, let me try and do it here so you can see. If you're not used to M-lock, you almost want to put it in through, thread it halfway, pull against it so that it's got some tension. That's not in there. Pull it against it so it's got some tension, and then you're tightening so that it's pulling it in and it's not just rotating underneath the rail. Hopefully that makes sense. But what this is going to do is put this into place on here. So again, I don't have the actual PEC box and I don't have the switch with me. But it's not bad. I mean, it does look a bit far out there. I do normally like it tucked in a lot closer, so I may switch this flashlight out. At the moment, it's got the what do you call it? The actual pressure cap on the back, but that will have a lead that runs out. I actually needed to get an adapter so I could run a surefire lead directly into this. And then I could actually basically put a crane lead into the Somo Gear PEC box. But the PEC box is going to have my visible laser, IR flashlight, and then this is going to have the visible flashlight. So I've kind of got everything covered. If I'm running at night vision, this works night vision. But I'm not sure I like this flashlight compared to this, which is just a lot nicer, more tucked in. Like this is a big boy on here. And that is a lot more... This is a lot more expensive, the Surefire one, so I may end up just switching this for something else, to be honest. So I'm not sure I love that so much. But let me know in the comments what you think. Right, next thing I'm going to do is, we've done the flashlight, I'm going to actually do an Accu wedge. So as I said, I've got this movement in the upper and the lower. It's actually because now there's more weight on it. I think it's showing less. But what actually the company APFG do, who make that Spear LT, they put something in it, which is this, which is a little wedge called an Accu wedge. Now it goes under that rear pin and the pin can push against it. So it kind of keeps tension on the, it puts tension on the actual pin. So it keeps the upper and the lower together more solidly. I don't think this is going to fit because I don't think the space in it's the same. So that's something to bear in mind. What I might do is try and do a little version of it where I push it like that, and we'll see if that works. Okay, so that's basically just kind of given me some push there, but it's almost given it a worse situation than it was previously. Let me see if I can find another way of doing this. If I do that there. Yeah, so it's not really getting rid of that wobble. There are other ways of doing this, like putting like a little band around the base of this, which I may try and do. But it's definitely not, that one's not doing what I hoped it would, which is kind of giving that upward pressure onto it. So I'll need to kind of play around and see what else I can do to make this wobble a little bit less than it currently is. Just see there. Okay, so that's got rid of it. So I found a little angle there where I'm getting no real give in it and it's feeling a lot more solid. So I think you can play around with that. There is a bit of a gap that you can probably see through there. You're probably going to need to play around with it a bit, but you can get rid of that. It's just kind of putting like rubber tension on the other side. That is going to be fine. Here's the trigger. So it's got that give to it. And then it's just a real, it's not like a solid break. Do it here for you as well. So that's the give back. Got that kind of mushiness, and then it's just a slight break. Whereas on this Spear LT, like it's got that give, but the break is just so solid. And then on the reset, you're literally there, bang, done. It's not quite as good as I said as my MPX, which just has none of that kind of two-stage give to it, but it is still, you know, really solid. So the other thing I would have thought about doing potentially, trying to think what else I could do. One thing I would have potentially done is moved this bracket slightly further back, and that might have kind of brought it in slightly. The problem is you don't have any more M-lock here, so it's not like your standard M-lock rail, you know, your URGI style where you've got M-lock the entire way around. But to be honest, I don't know what you guys think, but I do think it looks pretty cool so far. But look how big that is sticking out the end. So I think I need to find an alternative to this boy that's on here. I like the O-lights as well, but for this kind of real steel build, I don't know if I like them quite as much. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the suppressor. Now, what I have got is, if you can see here, the flash hider. Like, I didn't really want to do this, and I've got the suppressor coming from TOXICANT that is built for these. But what I do have as well is the PTS Sandman, Dead Air Sandman, which are really, really cool tracers. Really cool suppressors. I've got a tracer in this one. And what I've also ordered is one of the Smoky Wolf tracers, which basically you can put some liquid in, and when it goes through the tracer, it kind of puts a little bit of smoke out. Saw someone else doing that in a video recently of this XM5. It looked incredible. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to get that, replace it in here. But this has lugs on it, which is the flash hider, like little, indents. And that is where that suppressor is going to attach on there. And it's going to slip down and means that I can rotate it to keep it in place. Now, this is very similar to this. Like, I didn't want this. I wanted the Mark 18 suppressor, flash hider. But seeing as it's so similar, and I'll show you guys what that's like here, I think just putting this on is going to mean that I can run that suppressor on it. So that's the difference. So you can see there, I mean, I think they're very, very similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one on here. And because it's a 9-inch, running a suppressor on it, I think it's going to look very, very cool. But it's also going to mean that it's going to look very, very cool. But it is also going to mean that I've got the ability to have a tracer straight away. And I love tracers. I don't know if you guys are the same. I'm going to pull this out, which is the... it feels like that's a little bit tight there. And I don't know if this grub screw is just kind of rubbing slightly on there. So I'm going to see. That's going to be too big. I'm going to use this. Here we go. I'm going to put this guy here. Pull that out. I think. Strange because that should be fine. It's a 14mm on a 14mm counterclockwise, but that is very tight to get it on. I'm going to put it on because it's not going to, it doesn't feel like it's stripping, it just feels very, very tight. But I don't want to really damage the end of the barrel, obviously. Just for your guys' entertaining pleasure. If you're watching this, like, what is he doing? Like, he's ruining the entire replica. Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't feel right. So I might not do that right now. See, it doesn't seem like it's doing anything. But it definitely doesn't feel 100% like it should be like that. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put it on a little bit, or as far as we can get it, and then I'll just kind of put the suppressor on there so you guys can see what that looks like. I think it's just a little bit of tension. It almost feels like the paint or whatever it is there is just giving it more resistance. Because when I put that back on that second time, it felt a lot easier to get it on. And that is not fully down, but it's getting close. I just don't want to break this thing. Even though now I'm keeping it, it is something I don't want to break, obviously, because it's very expensive. Okay, so I'm going to put that on. That is going on straight. It's getting close. You know what's annoying is I put this flashlight here, and because I put the flashlight there, it's just made everything a lot more awkward. And it's a lot harder to grip this stock. Okay, so what I'll probably do there is I'll leave it like that for now, which isn't fully down, but I'll show you here. If I put this on, I can slide it down into place, and then all I need to do is basically just rotate, as I'm not showing you that. I rotate this here, and that starts locking that into place, and it's going to give me a bit there. But that is going to be what this thing looks like, which is so cool. That's what it looks like there with the suppressor flash hider on it. And it obviously makes the length of it a lot longer, but it is still, like, I absolutely love the look of that. So that's something I'm going to keep on there. And in terms of the actual look of it, you know what I might do is use this to put the flash hider on. It's the easier way of attaching it. And we've got it on. It's using it as a plug, effectively, to get that in place. So now, when I've done that, that's where it's going to look. And it fits perfectly. One thing actually that is going to be interesting is the adjustment for the hop up is there. And if that rotates further round, I think it's actually going to be in the way of this suppressor. And I don't know if that's the same. I presume that's not the same with the SIG style suppressor that TOXICANT are sending me. And I think probably I'll end up running that. But this is something to bear in mind, is if I'm rotating this, there's a button in there. You press it and it allows you to rotate that, and that's the adjustable hop up. If that thing is facing straight down, that is not going to allow me to put that tracer on. So again, something to bear in mind. But I mean, I don't know if you guys agree, but for me, that looks really, really cool. I'll leave it like that for now. I'll put this in here. Right, next thing we're going to do is... okay, so I've got a pressure pad that I was going to put on here, but I think there's no point in doing it because it's not really going to do much to the look of the build. But that is what, right now, it is looking like. And if you go back to the front of the video and you kind of have a look at it in comparison, I think you'll think this looks a lot cooler, because I definitely do. So all that's left to do now is to do a recoil test. Now, I'm going to be using the Swiss Arms 150 PSI gas. As I said, it's a weird load on this. Not weird, it's just frustrating to remove this end cap every time. So I don't like exposed valves on the bottom, because if you drop the mag, and that's a CO2 one, so we'll leave that for 1 second. If you drop the mag, then the chances of the CO2 valve going, or the fill valve going, is a lot higher, because obviously it can hit the ground and damage it. So I do like it when they have them on the back of the mags, kind of like that, with the Guns Modify one. This one is the VFC one, and it's kind of like recessed in there, which I think is good. But then the fact that this has got a cover on it is really good. Like, I do like that for sure. Okay, so that's me filling it. So this, as I said, this has got no lubricant in it. I'm going to fill that up. Again, this mag is going to be a bit cold because I'm only just filling it. It's warm in this room, so it shouldn't have a massive effect. But as this... So, like, I don't know how much gas to put into it, because I presume it's going to take a lot of volume. But that's where... Okay, this is the moment of truth, guys, so I hope you're excited. One mag, green gas going in here. So I am going to, let me just get this in position so you guys can see the bolt going. I'm going to rack it with this bad boy right here. I'm going to put my thumb on this, the bolt release, so that we don't get the bolt hold back, and I'm going to fire it. Okay, so that's got a lot of kick to it, I have to say. That's the semi, and then this is full auto. So the rate of fire is not really, really fast, but I have to say, like, the kick in it, it's a really, really solid kick, especially with this small, like, shoulder. You can probably see my my arm going back there. And it's got a kind of like hollowy, like, kind of clap to it, which is, again, really, really cool. Bolt lock. So this is another thing I mentioned in the live, is I normally put my AR mags in kind of like that and rock them in. You can't really do that with this because of the profile of the mag. It needs to basically go straight in. So it's something I think you're going to get used to. But that is the Like, it just looks very, very cool. I don't know if you guys agree, but I think that looks so awesome. Okay, so bolt lock. I'm going to rack it on this one now. So I'm just going to do the bolt lock here. Okay, so that's great. Bolt lock again. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's the bolt lock working great. I'm going to show you quickly a comparison to this, which is the APFG. This, I think, is going to recoil lighter. The bolt in this one is definitely a lot bigger. So this is the APFG. Yeah, so it's a lot more of a snap, and then the rate of fire on this should be higher. Yeah, compared to... What I also do love is this is very easy to just stick the mag down and hold it. So this is the other one, which is the XM5 full auto. So that's now getting lower on gas, it sounds like, but that's that one. This is, yeah, this is a lot faster rate of fire. Smaller bolt, should be a smaller caliber. It's what it should be, real steel, I believe. But that is, I mean, it's very, very satisfying. And then it sounds like that's getting a bit lower on gas, so I'm gonna put that in. That would have definitely cleared a full mag. Like, it's not like that would be a, oh no, I'm not going to actually empty the mag. It's 28 round mag. So it does allow you just to kind of do that, which is probably not the best way of doing it. But so yeah, that's filling up nicely. It says it has great gas capacity, and I can imagine with the size of it, kind of like the Sega 12 mags, it should have great gas capacity. Okay, so that one's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this one down, just put it there, and then I'm going to try and put in the CO2 mag so that we can then see the difference between those two, and you guys can just get an idea of the recoil. Put this in here so we can, let's see what the weight of this is now. Okay, so that is 8.147. So 8 pounds, 14 ounces. So this is like a 9-pound gun. I mean, it feels great, but it's definitely not a light piece of kit now. This thing is pretty chonky, if you ask me, and it's the 9-inch version. So if you're getting the bigger ones, like the 13, I think that's going to start to weigh quite a bit. So what I'm now going to do is do the CO2. I'll put this here so we can see that. And as I said, guys, I'm really sorry that I can't do the CO2 capsule. I can't do the actual fire and FPS test of it and range test of it and accuracy test of it because I haven't put the inner barrel in yet, but I will be doing that. And so I'll get that done for you ASAP, and I'll try and do a video of installing it. So this thing requires a massive Allen key. I've got a Torx wrench here, but you're going to pull the bottom out of this. The reason I don't like these particularly is because I don't like how, okay, so that's just going to sit right in there. So that's pretty easy. I don't like how I can't tell how much gas is there or like refill it quickly. You know, with the, let me put this in the right way. With the other ones, i.e. green gas, I know, right, the gas is running low, or I can tell it is, or I can just kind of top it up. So if I go into the safe zone, I can just be like, right, I'm going to top this up and then I'm good. So I think that has gone. I heard like a little noise, but it wasn't obvious that that went through. That's now not showing like a hole through there because that's the bottom of the canister. I'm going to put this in place here. And then that is good to go. Weight on this now is almost 1 pound, 5 ounces. So that's another 0.2 that you've put on there, 2 ounces that you've put on. Okay, so again, this is the regular recoil. You can see like the recoil in my shoulder here. Like, it's a really solid kick. Like, in terms of getting a kill, I think this is loud and it's going to be very fun to do. This is the CO2. Okay, yeah, it's a bigger kick for sure. It's probably 1.5 times 2. I mean, it's a real... I love that. I really, really love that. I'm saying like I don't want to run CO2 and I bought all green gas mags, but this is... That is real steel close recoil. I don't think for a 6.8, but I do think it's going to be close to a 5.56 kind of feeling to it. If it's an AR, you know, with a full buffer tube. And then full auto. It's also got that kind of like CO2 smell to it, which isn't like gunpowder, but it is. Yeah, it's not the same. Damn, I really wanted the green gas to be nearly as good. Okay, so if you're thinking about getting this as a CO2 gun, and this thing lasts, which I won't be able to see yet, the CO2 mags are incredible. Absolutely incredible. I'm thinking now I need to order more CO2 mags is really what I need to do. What is going to depend on is the FPS. I'm going to need to look at the FPS, and if the FPS is too high on the CO2, that's going to make a big difference. Especially maybe you want to run green gas for indoor, CO2 for outdoor, and I can tell that's the green gas because that's 1.1, and I can tell that is the CO2 because it's 1.5. So this is heavier for sure, like 50% heavier almost. But also it's not getting cold. Like that's getting a lot colder than this is. Okay guys, so that's probably going to wrap up. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Like the recoil on this now, which is the CO2. Oh God, that's good. I really can't get that across to you, but that's so hard, the kick on that. It's harder than my Sega 12 for sure. Easily harder. And the fact that I can do both on this thing, like that shooting with that mag right there has made me think, right, this is 100% worth buying it for that much money. Right, so this is the, yeah, I mean, it's not even close. I want to do the bolt lock quickly on the CO2, but I don't think it's too heavy with that flashlight on it. With this PEC box as well, it might be different. Yeah, bolt lock's great. Can do the cool style. Yeah. Okay guys, I'm really in love with this thing. It's not going to be, I mean, it may become my favorite replica. That's really thrown me weird. That I never was a CO2 guy, and just feeling that has really changed my mind. Anyway guys, that's going to wrap up today. If you want to see more of this thing, please write in the comments below and let me know what you want to see. This has been an hour and 10 minutes, this video, so hopefully you're still watching. If not, I completely understand why. If you want to fast forward through it, fair enough, and you just want to see the CO2 bit, do that as well. But I'll be doing a build, putting the actual inner barrel into this and the hop unit, and then I'll be doing some FPS testing as well as testing of the accuracy and range. Thank you so much guys. I will see you all soon. Have a great day wherever you are, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.